before you come to this campground, you should make sure the hurricane season hasn't started up yet. And here's a grand tour of the campground. Typical southern RV campground. Alright, we're not going to do a real long, drawn-out tour of the campground. What you see is what you get. It's mostly pads off the road that are between 30 and 50 feet deep. Pretty nice, really. They're pretty level, but they're mostly out in the sun. This campground got hit hard in Ida in August of 2021, and they're still recovering. You'll see all the stumps that are being ground up from the trees that are cut up and fell over. This is the bathhouse, shower house, bathroom. They have laundry, which is always nice. The bathrooms were awesome in design and setup. Beautiful tiles and everything. However, they had not been properly cleaned, I'll bet, in a year. They had so much soap scum on the walls that it was sad. And they had drain bugs, drain flies that were flying around. And you can see the soap scum on the wall in these pictures, which is too bad. It would be an easy job to scrub the walls a little bit and make them really nice and clean. It's the fantastic porcelain tiles. I wonder if this is the lost and found for the laundry. A lot of clothes there. Got a sink, washer and dryer, and a washer and a dryer. Table to fold on. Nice. Maybe it's just my forestry background, but I just love these cypress with their knees sticking above the ground. And they put knees up where they don't get enough air on the roots. So when they're in the middle of a parking lot, of course, not a lot of air on the roots, but there were some humongous cypress trees around the park. And then there were these. You might think that was poop, but it's really a crayfish tower. Crayfish burrow down into the soil, and then they build these towers. And they're all around down here. Though they're trying to mow, so I think maybe they're getting away. We were up a little early, so we didn't see many people, but a few of the locals were up, waiting for something to die. Sitting on top of the telephone poles. I didn't mean to do that. Gators. There are gators around Louisiana and around this campground. I haven't seen any up on the shore. I've seen quite a few in the water. Right on the edge of the water. Sorry it's so shaky. You'll hear a lot of heavy breathing because I'm throwing the ball for Aquila and taking pictures of the wildlife in this picnic area that was more or less shut down because of all the damage from Hurricane Ida back in 2021. They're still trying to repair all the damage. They didn't have picnic tables out or anything because they were all turned into pretzels, but it was fun to stand by this lake and just see all the amazing wildlife that's along the edge of this lake. Hello folks, this is my try to beat the heat Aliner setup. We've got a 12 by 16 tarp that covers the entire Aliner to give it shade, and then it's got 4 feet of awning off the front. I'll show you how I do this, but it's not really the way I want it. I put this up quick because when we got here it was 93 degrees and it was a real pain in the butt. So this is a clothing drying rack, which holds it up off the bubble window a bit and lets the air get underneath it, so it's not just holding the air into the trailer. I do have it clipped to the sides. Now I put this on a little different than I should have. I was doing it in a hurry and it wasn't sure how it really went. So originally I clipped it to the handles, and so now it won't reach all the way on the other side. And I suppose if it was silver it would be a little more reflective, but I didn't want to blind everybody in the campground with a glowing silver tarp, and that works pretty good. But you do have to put it on when the camper's down, and that's the reason it has errors in the way it's installed. You have to put a clamp up at the top, and like I say, you just use clamps to get it there, to get it where you want it, and then just open the trailer and you've got it covered. And it's pretty easy. You don't have to have any special attachments or hardware or anything like that. And it keeps it nice and cool inside to a certain degree. I mean, it's 90 degrees out here with the air conditioner running. Here's the air conditioner is running. It's making a huge puddle. And that's the other thing, is when you get these air conditioners, you drill a hole in the corner so the water leaks out there instead of here. This is what this is for the water to leak out. But this is a lot more efficient, and you can get a string to bring it away from where you walk. If you use this, it creates a big puddle right there at your steps. Not a real smart idea. I think that's why they moved it to the... This little thing is pretty neat. That came with my trailer, and you can hang clothes on that and it dries them on a day like today in about 10 minutes. But there it is from the side. You can see there's quite a lot of awning off the front, but right now the sun's way over in the west, where the door is facing the west. So as the sun goes down, it's 4:30 here, I think. So as the sun goes down, any awning's going to be useless. And it's not really too hot at this point. And I did drag the string all the way from here, from that corner. I mean, I pulled it way out because I don't have poles for the center. I just kind of lumped those all together into one. These are painter's poles on the end, on the sides. They're quite expensive, but you know what? The tent poles are quite expensive and they're not as good. So, a painter's pole, you're supposed to be able to put a lot of pressure on it to hold the paint against the wall, while tent poles are supposed to be just straight up and down. So these work pretty good. They're a little stronger, and they're about, I don't know, I think they were $16, $18 a piece at Lowe's. And I put a nail and a thing in so to get them out, because they're telescoping poles, of course. So if nothing else, New Orleans and Louisiana and this part of the world is nothing but a lot of bridges. And this just floors me. This railroad bridge goes up, way up over in the sky, and it just keeps on going across the Mississippi, and it must be 400 to 1,000 feet up in the air. It just goes over this big old steel bridge, and it blows me away. I mean, there's a train on it waiting to go somewhere. It must have that perfect slope so that the trains can get up it and down it without losing control. But it's got the highway on either side of it all the way up. See if I can see the rest of the bridge here. And there it continues way above the highway and across way up in the air Great big old steel bridge. Pretty cool. This is morning 2 of playing ball with Aquila in the picnic area. This time I brought the tripod though, so the camera's not quite so shaky. But we saw at least 4 different alligators roaming the pond. I'm kind of surprised they don't come up on the grass. It must be too hot for them. But these 2 here were getting kind of friendly. This is the chimney of a chimney crayfish. It's huge and it's so far up in the air. Look at. Here's my foot next to it. And that hole. I don't know if you're required to have these on a leash or not, but they're running around. As I said earlier, there were a lot of trees that were upended from Hurricane Ida in August of 2001. These are just everywhere in the campground, and some of them went, over campsites and everything. They had done a pretty good job of clearing out the trees and the trunks, but there was a lot of debris that still needed to be taken away. I dare say, though, there's no lack of firewood in this park anymore. If you go to the park, bring a saw and an axe, and you'll have lots of firewood. This is the reason you come to this park, is these are the cabins. They're out on the Bayou waterway, and they have their own little dock on the side of them. And these are high class and fully equipped. These are awesome. And then this is somebody who also came through following the armadillo. This is a mud snake, and he's not very fast. He's a very slow mover trying to get across the road. I kept cars from running him over as he went through my campsite. There was also this harbor marina, whatever you call it, right around the corner from the campground, and it had all these really nice boats. I don't know, these are somebody's yachts. And then there were tons of shrimp boats, some really fancy ones. I don't know how that worked, but looked like it was a pretty efficient boat. None of these were going in and out, but there was a tourist boat to take people on a tour of the swamp and the bayou. And then there were some other animals we saw around, some lizards or skinks, whatever these are. And in my campground, I had these guys. There were at least 15 of these dragonflies in different colors and different things, and they kept the bugs away from us. They were really good. They would fly nearby, and if any bug or fly was near us, they'd capture it and eat it. So I liked them a lot. Well, hello, folks. It's kind of an abrupt stop to the video. We went to New Orleans for a conference, and we got there a little early. So we played a lot and looked around the campground and did a pretty good campground review. But once the conference got started, we really didn't have any time to do anything. And then it was so hot and so miserable, and we had a long ways to travel out of New Orleans to get to Georgia, we kind of didn't stick around too long to do a closing. So here we are back home, and so this is I'm just finishing up the video and realizing there's no closing on it. So that's the bad part of editing 3 or 4 videos all at once. What you got on your face? Do not kick my... So, to give you a summary of the video in our trip to Bayou Segnette at Louisiana, New Orleans. If you're going towards New Orleans and you want to stop and camp along the way and visit New Orleans, it's a phenomenally great campground. It's only 11 miles from the downtown area, the not quite Bourbon Street, but the center of Canal Street, Bourbon Street, Prada Street, Garden Street, all those really nice places that are great to go to. But so it's a really nice campground, and it's all electric. I think there's water hookups there that I didn't use. It was really nice. The problem with it is that it's all flat. Every campsite's pretty much the same. Doesn't matter which one you had. There's they got hit pretty hard with Hurricane Ira in August of 21. So they were recovering from that still. And now I'm from New York, which is a pretty rich state. You know, we have pretty good resources up there. And when something like that hits our campgrounds, they go out and they clean them up within a couple weeks. Excuse me. He drops the ball way up in front of me. They clean it up in a couple weeks and it's back to being normal. These guys were cleaning it up 9 months later and they don't even have winter. So it was in pretty sad shape because of the storm. And I imagine they get a storm every year. Now, the bathrooms were not very well taken care of. And there was one little old lady that was the host to clean the bathrooms. And she lived in this little tiny trailer, this little teeny tiny trailer. So I don't know, not your typical host, not your typical person taking care of the campground. It was a state park. I have the ball again. And you would think they'd take care of it, but her opinion was that they didn't want to spend any more money on that park. They really wanted it to go to waste. But from looking at what they've got at that state park, they've got a wave pool, they've got a regular swimming pool, they've got kayaking and canoeing, they've got this humongous picnic area, they've got a humongous group site. It's just amazing how much they've got invested in the whole park. So I think she was just not a very good person to be doing that job. But I would probably go by there if I had to go to New Orleans, but in my honest opinion, I have absolutely no use for New Orleans. It has some phenomenal architecture, some neat sights, some interesting places, and great food. But I don't do things for food. I do things for interest and history and stuff like that. And so I've been to New Orleans 3 times. I went just before Katrina, and I went just after Katrina to help with the analysis of the damage and stuff like that. And now I've been there again, and I just don't see any appeal to New Orleans. The interesting thing about New Orleans is it's really one big tourist attraction with a lot of people that live there. I mean, there's 3 or 4 colleges there, so that makes it even more touristy in my opinion, because they don't have any investment in the community or life there. They just are there to party, which is why Bourbon Street and all that is so famous. If you like New Orleans, you can camp at Bayou Segnette and have a good time. But thanks for watching the video. It's a great, not quite swamp like you might want in the swamps, but it was a pretty good camping trip. And we enjoyed it, especially since we had the entire picnic area to ourselves because it was not used by anybody else and it was in sad shape. He played ball for hours while I watched wildlife. He's kicking my tripod. I'm gonna have to kill him. Give me that ball. Give me that ball. Out. Bring. Out.